Alright, so in this problem we want to find which of the following expressions has the highest value, and we're going to do so by simplifying these expressions by finding the least common denominator and converting each of the expressions into a single fraction. Now let's do so with our first fraction. With our first expression, we have 2/3 plus 1/4. Now in order to find the least common denominator, we know that we can multiply the two denominators, and in this case it will be 12, and this is also our least common denominator. Alright, so if our least common denominator is 12, in our first numerator we need to multiply by 4 the numerator and denominator. That means that our numerator is going to be 4, or it's going to be 8, and our second numerator, 1/4, is going to be 3. Alright, so now we have 8 plus 3 divided by 12. So when we add these two together, we have 11 divided by 12, and that is the value of our first fraction, our first expression. Now let's move on to our second one. We have half plus 4/7. Now in this case, our least common denominator is going to be 14. And in order to convert our first numerator, we want to multiply by 7, so our numerator is going to be 7. And our second numerator is going to be 8. Alright, so when we add these two up together, we have 7 plus 8, which gives us 15 with our least common denominator of 14. And our third expression is 5/6 plus 2 divided by 12. Now in this case again, our least common denominator is going to be 12. And our first numerator is going to get the value of 5 times 2, which is 10. And our second numerator is not going to change because our least common denominator is already 12. Alright, so now when we add these two together, we get 10 plus 2, which is 12/12, which simplifies to 1. And now our fourth expression, 1/4 plus 5/8. And in this case, our least common denominator is going to be 8. So we only need to change the numerator of our first fraction by multiplying by 2. So we have 2/8 plus 5/8 because our second fraction will not change. And now we have 5 plus 2, which is 7/8. And for our last expression, we have 4/5 plus 3 divided by 10. And in this case, again, our least common denominator is going to be 10. And that means that only our first fraction is going to change, and we're going to multiply the numerator and denominator by 2. And so we need to multiply 4 times 2, which is 8. And our second numerator, 3, is going to remain the same. So now we have 8 plus 3, which gives us 11/10. Alright, so now that we know that 11/10 is greater than 1, we know that 7 divided by 8 is less than 1. We have 12/12, which is perfectly 1. 15/14 is also greater than 1. And 11 divided by 12 is less than 1. So if we want to find the highest value, we want to take a look at 11/10 and 15/14 because they are both greater than 1, and all the other values are less or equal to 1. Now let's take a look at 15 divided by 14 and 11 divided by 10. Alright, so we can take both of these fractions and turn them into mixed numbers. 15 divided by 14 can convert into 1 and 1/14, and we have 11 divided by 10, which simplifies to 1 and 1/10. Now we know that 1 and 1/10 is greater than 1 and 1/14 because 1 out of 10 is greater than 1 out of 14 pieces. And therefore 1 and 1/10 is larger than 1 and 1/14, and therefore 11/10 will have the greatest value, and that corresponds with answer D in our answer.